with that, it's a perfect place to do as our first guest speaker, and that is Commander James O'Donnell, VA Christian. Commander, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Tom, and thank you, Mike, and thank all of you for showing up tonight. A couple of things. Mike is absolutely correct in talking about December, that crime, we had a spike, not only citywide, but here in the 8th District and in the Archer Heights neighborhood. That is correct. A little bit of an anomaly compared to most of 2015, and certainly the year before, 2014. We had a very successful year here at Archer Heights, the 8th District, and the city overall. But just going back to 2015, I'm going to talk about the entire year, all 365 days. 2% reduction in burglary. That's not much, but it's down from the year before, which was a very successful year. We had a 17% reduction in theft, a 48% reduction in auto theft, but as Mike points out, a little bit troubling, we had a 40% increase in robberies for all of 2015. Small numbers compared to other parts of the city. It was an increase of 13. So 13 more robberies in 2015 than 2014. And again, went from 33 to 46. Is 46 a lot? Not when we break it down by the numbers, it's a little less, about one a week. We don't want one a week, we don't want one a month. But compared to other parts of the city, in Archer Heights is a fairly decent sized area, let's put it that way. We had a couple of shootings, which was definitely of importance. In 2014, Archer Heights had 0 shootings. Now, just like Mike talked about and Interim Superintendent Escalante talked about during a news conference this morning, is that's one of the difficulties we face when we investigate crimes. When we're dealing with legitimate citizens who report a burglary or robbery or something to that effect, they're there to cooperate with the police, answer questions truthfully, and give us as much information as they can so that hopefully we can catch the bad guy or bad girl, because generally those people don't just commit one crime, they do multiple crimes. So by taking them off the street, we're also helping other citizens out, helping the community out in general. The problem is, it's kind of a double-edged sword, the people that get shot in Chicago overwhelmingly are criminals themselves and or gang members. And so naturally, since they're criminals, they're kind of against the police. You know, we're arresting them, and then one day we have to take a report for them that they got shot. And again, we're not prejudiced in any way. Somebody out there firing a gun and shooting another person anywhere in the city of Chicago is important to us, because there's always that risk to the community. So we treat them like any other victim. We seek information, we want help, we want to catch the bad guy or bad girl, the person responsible for that crime. But like the superintendent said, and even Mike mentioned, we don't get that cooperation. We have found it so often where they tell us something happened, and they'll describe an offender or a vehicle, and it doesn't match up because we don't have any physical evidence. No other persons in the community called the police to report a crime. Or like Mike said, they won't even go to the closest hospital. They'll drive miles away, 10 miles away, and they don't even call the police then. It's the hospital that notifies us that someone was injured as a result of gunfire. And we go to the hospital and we start our investigation there. Again, so when you look at that, that's very difficult for us to stop those types of crimes. They're not being truthful with us. So we're actually under the gun, so to speak, when they're leaving the crime scene, not calling the police, refusing to help us and give us any information, and even a lot of worst case scenarios, they give us false information. They'll tell us it was a male white with a white shirt on and he was driving a black Buick. That's the guy who leaned out and fired shots at me. Okay, so we'll put that information out to everybody. It's a male white with a white shirt driving a black Buick, and he went on westbound on 47th Street after he shot the victim. We put that information out to everybody in the city and here in the district, and then we'll track down other witnesses if they become available, or even video. And sometimes video is not available to the next day because either private video or our cameras out there, or even video that we rely on business owners to help us out with. And we'll look, and it wasn't a male white, it was a let's say a 50-year-old male Hispanic and he's driving a white pickup truck. So here the victim lied to us, and now we're even farther behind the investigation and not being truthful. So like the superintendent said today, that's one of the difficulties we face, that during these shootings that happen everywhere in the city, we're not getting cooperation. So very difficult to solve and very difficult to arrest the bad guys who are committing these crimes to stop them from committing further crimes. So again, as far as Archer Heights goes, the shootings we had, the 4 shootings we had last year, up from 0 the year before. Is it trouble? Absolutely. That's one of the big things you'll see, and I want to bore you with a lot of statistics, but you're seeing that not only here in the city, but also in the suburbs. These criminals aren't just limited to a 3 or 4 block radius of where they live. They get in cars and they commit crimes. I can remember an armed robbery last year that happened all the way up in Skokie, and the offenders were from the far south side, like 110th in State Street. And they did a couple armed robberies up there. So luckily, state police saw it and assisted by Chicago police arrested the carload of people, got the proceeds back, recovered a gun, so on and so forth. So again, from Skokie to 110th and State Street, would you think that where the offenders robbing someone in Skokie would be from? No. So cars. That's why we push that out so often here in the 8th District. I think in 2015 we ended up in double digits with impounding vehicles from the year before. That's one of our strategies. We're not concerned about, let's say, the average citizen breaking certain traffic laws, things of that nature. But we try to primarily target gang members and criminals, people we know with criminal backgrounds. So certainly when they don't have driver's licenses are revoked, suspended, they don't have a license, they don't have insurance, things of that nature, loud music, cannabis in the car, a number of reasons we impound cars. That's what we focus on. Take the cars away from them, put them on foot. It makes our job a little bit easier, and it also doesn't allow them to spread out and commit crimes everywhere in the Chicagoland area. So that's one of the strategies we've been, it's been very helpful. One thing we talk about arrests, 2015 in Archer Heights, there was a 15% increase in arrests from 2014, which is good. More arrests means people are calling the police more, which is exactly what Tom and Mike talked about. We've talked about that in prior meetings here. No one entity or organization can do it by themselves. Can a community do it by themselves? Yes or no? No. Can the police do it? No. Elected officials? No. Judges? Prosecutors? No. Everybody has to work together. Community groups? No. Everybody working together as a team. That's the key. It's very simple. We just got to get on the same page and a little better communication among all of us. So 15% increase in arrests, and then last year, 2015, we had about 1,600 people stopped in Archer Heights alone. And that 1,600 persons that were stopped by the police for being engaged in suspected criminal activity. And I know I've talked about this before. In New York, it's called stop and frisk. Here in Chicago, we document that on a contact card. And if you've been at prior meetings where I spoke, I try to explain it. If you've got a question, you can ask. But it's basically when the police see an individual in a certain area at a certain time and suspect them of having committed a crime or they're about to commit a crime. You know, like if we got somebody here at midnight hanging around looking in the windows of the school, is that someone we should stop? Yes, because we think they're about to break into the school, or a closed business, or loitering by an alley, or checking car door handles, things of that nature. That's something we're going to stop because we think they're involved in criminal activity, and then we document that on a contact card. So for Archer Heights in 2015, about 1,600 stops. That's about 4 a day, a little more than 4 a day. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it just goes to show you, and you can look at this later on if you want to. You just print out a brief map of where the police are stopping everybody. If you look at that Archer Heights area, that's nearly every block out there. So it may not seem like it all the time because you don't see the police because you're not looking out your windows 24/7. I know I'm not. But the police are out there and they're aware of the crimes that go on in the neighborhood and they're stopping people being involved in suspected criminal activity. Up here at Broadway, about 20. Maybe the next meeting I'll drop some off. But a lot of tips, general safety tips, burglaries, robberies, tips regarding the internet for you, your children, anyone else you want to give that information to. But like what Mike mentioned earlier, for the 8th district and even Archer Heights, almost all of 2015 we were down in burglaries, robberies, okay? And in about the last 6 weeks it's spiked. Can I attribute that to the holiday season? Yeah, that's one of it. The crooks know out there people are carrying money, and not only that, but we've had an increase in burglaries and robberies of phone stores, because these iPhones, you turn around and sell them for a lot of money. Okay, they cost them $600,000, $800,000. They break into stores, they rob people as they're walking down the street, just looking at their phone, and come up, hit them, sometimes produce a gun, and then rob them with their phone or whatever else they got. But the main thing we've seen with our street robberies and even a number of burglaries of businesses is phones. They're taking these smartphones because they can turn them around and sell them for a quick profit. So about the last 6 weeks of 2015, that's when we saw an increase in robberies. Let's see what else. Yeah, matter of fact, when we talk about delaying a lot of these shooting victims not cooperating, we just had one on January 11th where a guy walked into Holy Cross Hospital, and of course with a gunshot wound to the leg, and the hospital notifies the police. We get there and he tells us it happened at 59 Kedzie 4 days ago. So what are we going to do with that? 59 Kedzie, anyone familiar with that area? At 11, what do you think, 11:30 in the morning? Was anyone else out there at 11:30 in the morning? This guy, what he says, he's sitting on a bus stop, and a gray vehicle pulls up with 2 masked men in it, and they just start shooting at him. And he's hitting a leg, and that's it. So you think at 11:30 in the morning, somebody else would have seen that? Call the police now. No crime scene, no other witnesses, no calls to shots fired, absolutely nothing going on in the area. And as you all know, if you've been over there, the police drive down by that intersection. I drive by that intersection a dozen times a day. So somebody would have saw something again. 4 days later, very difficult to conduct a proper investigation or get the people responsible for that crime, if that crime actually occurred, let's put it that way. So, just want to point that out. Real fast, that stabbing that was involving gang members, same thing. You know, it wasn't a firearm, it was a stabbing. They went to a farther away hospital, but the offender in that incident was another gang member. He got identified. So, just keep that in mind. Same thing what Mike talks about. I know I've talked about it before. Your job is to call 911, not 311. You call 311 if trees need trimming or the lights out or there's some potholes in the street, something of that nature. That's 311. Everything else is 911. And again, I can't drill that into people's heads enough. We still have people calling 311 on suspicious vehicles and suspicious persons. Everything is 911. You're going to get that out there in a timely manner so that the 911 center dispatches the police in a timely manner and hopefully we can catch a bad guy. So everything is 911. Yeah, absolutely do not ever confront anyone or not give up your property, you know, things of that nature. It doesn't matter if it's a car or a burglary or robbery. Do not confront these bad guys. A lot of times, which is good, the incident where the store clerk confronted a guy turned out to be a fake gun. And a lot of these guns are as realistic as the actual firearms. And a lot of these guys who do catch on these robberies, they aren't using real guns, but some of them are. And some of them were capable, even in a burglary, of shooting somebody. We've had gang members we got out there spray painting, just vandalism. Would you think somebody out there spray painting has a gun? What do you think? No. 15-year-old kid spray painting the side of the garage. No. We've had a few instances where we caught 4 or 5 guys spray painting, and 3 of them had guns right on them. Okay? So don't assume anything, don't take anything for granted. It's not your job to confront criminals or anything like that. What we want you to do, your main concern, look out for your neighborhoods, look out for your neighbors. And if you see something, whether you're going to work or a church or a business or visiting someone, it doesn't matter. In your travels, call 911. More than 9 times out of 10, you go with your gut. It's right. If it doesn't look right, I'm sure it isn't. And even if it isn't, call the police. That's our job of investigating, not yours. That's what we rely on you for, to be our eyes and ears when we're not out there. Because we can't be in every gangway and every business and every residence and every garage. That's why we rely on the community. Everybody working together. Okay? If you just want to open up to some questions, or?
Sure.
Sir?
Where do most of the guns that are used in committing crimes in the Southwest side, where do they come from? Because I've heard stories about a gun store in Riverdale, squad buyers going.
Sure, Chuck's Gun Shop in Dalton. That's a main offender, I should say. They follow the law because law enforcement, not just the Chicago Police Department, but ATF and everybody else has investigated over the last couple decades. They follow the law as far as reporting and making sure that the person has a proper FOI card, a firearms owner identification. But the way the law is, I can go in there and buy 10 9mm handguns, and I have a gun card, and that's legitimate. And they're required to notify ATF of a multiple gun purchase, which they do. Now, what I do with those 10 guns when I walk out the store a few days later, that's on me. That's not their responsibility to keep an eye on those guns, so on and so forth. That's kind of responsible gun ownership and responsible gun laws, even what President Obama was talking about last week. That's some of the things we have to tighten up in this country to slow down a little bit of our violence. So, to answer your question, where do all the guns come from? I can't tell you that. I can tell you this, a lot of guns are taken in burglaries, and then a lot of guns are lost, misplaced. You know, but a lot of burglaries do occur, burglaries and thefts, where firearms are taken out of people's residences that were legally purchased to begin with. So, I can't give you those statistics, sorry. But these gang members aren't just going into gun stores or gun shows buying firearms. They can't. But that's how they get them. Through legal people, legal gun owners buy them and are unscrupulous and sell them. That's the whole point behind multiple gun purchases. Otherwise, can you tell me a valid reason to go in and buy 10 9mm guns? Anybody come up with a valid reason for that? And believe me, I'm not NRA. I understand the whole Second Amendment and everything else. Everybody has a right to protect themselves, but we have to do it responsibly. Responsibly, from one end of this country to the other. So, until we get to that point, we are going to see these acts of violence, unfortunately. But burglaries, and again, it's just not, it's a responsibility to not only yourself and your family, but to secure those weapons properly. That's also part of responsible gun ownership. So, and again, it happens a lot where legitimate firearms purchased by legitimate citizens, when they're at work or whatever, they're not secured, somebody breaks in, now they got guns. Those guns are turned over to criminals. I'm sorry, say that again?
Isn't the 10-gun purchase by any one person more of a rarity than normalcy?
I can't cite the statistics on it either. So.
It's up to you. I left it open.
Okay, I'll address one other topic, but answer a couple questions first. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, just a question for you. I've seen it in the news, 51st and Cicero, first and Keeler, the second, 53rd. It seems the last few weeks, months, a lot of robberies where people are just walking down the street, even in the middle of the day. Apparently, somebody's driving up, somebody gets out of the car, do a quick hit. Are you seeing that a lot? Or is that
Yes, yeah, absolutely. We're seeing that from one end of the district to the other, and not just here in the 8th district, but all the districts citywide. We put out a couple, I won't talk about them, we had a couple patterns here. One pattern in particular, when you talk about these robbers that are mobile with vehicles, one occurred at 51st and Cicero, and the same crew, we think, did a few other ones, all the way out to 83rd and Kedzie. So from 51st and Cicero to 83rd and Kedzie, okay? These guys are everywhere and in between, simple as that. We're seeing a lot of that. Young guys, even females involved now in crimes, involved in robberies. They're the drivers or the lookout or something to that effect. 2 or 3 or 4 people, 1 or 2 people be walking by themselves, again, headphones on, or just, looking at their phone or playing with their phone, talking on the phone, and they'll ride up behind them, jump out, a couple of quick punches or hits or knock them on the ground, and the number one thing they're taking is the phone, because they can resell that iPhone, that smartphone, whatever name brand it is. It doesn't matter if it's an Apple or Samsung or whatever, they can resell it quickly. So yes, increase not only here in 8th, but citywide. And that's why we focus so much on trying to target criminals, gang members, as much as we can in impounding cars.
So the quick follow-up on that is like, so if I have my son walking down the street, is like, are they targeting, like people are walking by themselves? So if you walk in pairs, typically they kind of stay away, or like what are you seeing?
Generally, the lone victim is the prime target, okay? We are seeing quite a bit of that. Again, I couldn't give you the breakdown of numbers as far as victims go, from in the entire district, but quite a lot of reports I see and read, it's a lone victim. Doesn't matter if it's a male or female. Same thing, getting off a bus, male, female, doesn't matter the age or ethnicity or anything. Get off on the phone, somebody comes up behind him, knocks him down, takes that phone. So, you know, it is of primary importance. Number one, your safety, and it's pay attention to your surroundings. It doesn't matter whether you're walking or driving in your vehicle. And I urge you, pick up one of those packets. There's only 20, I'll bring some more, drop some more off to Tom or Mike. And we also have it online on the 8th District for our Clear Path. Very simple, Clear Path. It's our website. Anybody would, you know, have any skills whatsoever, because I don't have any computer skills. And you go on there, we have a bunch of safety tips and information what's going on in the 8th District. So you can get those online if you don't pick them up here. But a lot of information, how to secure your residence, calling 911, looking out for your neighbors, safety tips for your children, internet safety. We've got a lot of information out there. We put out a lot of information. And even before the Thanksgiving season, we got together with all our community partners, and almost all of that information there, it's probably like 20 pages. We sent that out to every community group, every religious organization, all our stakeholders. Get as much information as we can out there to the community. You got to be aware of your surroundings. You got to be vigilant. And I know everybody's busy when they're out there. They're in a hurry. We don't pay attention. And we live in an electronic age where everybody's playing on that phone, texting, calling, not paying attention. A car pulling up behind or somebody running up behind you, they're not paying attention. Believe me, even the police are guilty of it. The police are victimized also. They get robbed and they get burglarized and their cars stolen stuff too. So we're all guilty of it. That's just the age we live in. But we've got to be more vigilant, pay attention at all times. Another question back there?
Mayor, there's a perception that non-exempt members of the police department, patrolmen, might be experiencing a decrease in morale right now. This might be due to some of the challenges that policemen have always faced in interacting with the community, maybe the way that police are perceived in the media, perhaps at the leadership level, at the administrative level in the city. But I'd be interested in learning, like, what has been the communication from the leadership within the police department to improve morale, even assuming that it's even true, even to a minor degree, what has been some of the communication or strategies to show the patrolmen that to do their job and make sure that things are not morale's not low. And I ask because I think that ultimately they impact response time, how many stops that patrolmen make, how they answer calls to service, and so forth.
Is that just one question, Susan? I might have to roll back the tape on that. All right, no, actually, a valid point, valid questions. How we're addressing it, I can tell you myself, and I apologize if I forgot to introduce Captain Brian McDermott. He's my right-hand man, the executive officer in the 8th District. So when I'm not there, he's handling the day-to-day operations. But myself, the captain, and the other supervisors in the 8th District, and not only just in the 8th, but citywide, the way we get that message out is we attend roll calls, we put out emails, and just even face-to-face conversations with the troops out there. And you actually hit it on the nail. Do your job, okay? Is morale taking a hit? Well, I got almost 30 years on this job, and I have not seen it like this, not so much for morale, but the anti-police sentiment that is going on from one end of this country to the other. And when you talk, does that affect morale? Absolutely. If you're being barraged in the media on a daily, certainly a weekly, if not daily basis, that you know, cops are all bad, they're doing all these bad things, not only here in Chicago, but nationwide. If you're being criticized like that on a daily basis, exposed to in all these media outlets, and again, certainly when you look at all the protests downtown, those are all anti-police protests. Do you think, as a citizen, that's going to affect the police? Yeah. So, is it? Yeah, we have a lot of grumbling. I haven't seen that type of grumbling with my almost 30 years on the job. We know our job is one of those darned if you do, darned if you don't type jobs. Someone's always going to be criticizing us for what we did do or what we didn't do. We understand that. We know that when we came on this job. Okay? We know that. But the overwhelming majority of the police department, police officers in general, they come out here with the intent every day to do a good job. And even though it's been an anti-police sentiment here in Chicago and elsewhere in the nation, these cops, I hear it on the radio every day, and if you have a scanner, you could listen to it. They're out there chasing down bad guys with guns, people doing shootings, robberies, everything else. That goes against human nature. That guy's got a gun. Why would I chase after him? Okay? In an instant, they turn around and shoot me. That's their job. So they go out there and do it every day. And even they had a few cases on the news today, the press conference with Superintendent Escalante about car chases, guys with guns, and these guys shooting and pointing guns at the police. Okay? They still do it every day. So is morale been affected? Yes. But our strategy is you took an oath when you came on this job to protect the community, essentially, and do your job. And that's what we have to, that's the message we press out there, and we continue to press out. There are good people in every neighborhood from one end of the city that count on you to do your job. So if you don't want to do your job, and we don't say this, but you know, maybe police work is not your chosen profession. Maybe you should consider something else, because the good people in Chicago count on you every day. You can't just put blinders on and drive by and just handle calls. No, we have to be out there, we have to be proactive, out there stopping criminals. And when you look at it here, like I said, these numbers, they're up. Okay? So that's essentially it. Does that answer your question? Okay.
You hold your questions.
Okay, one other topic I want to talk about is the Laquan McDonald case. Everyone know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So, originally it was reported by the police department that that was a good shooting. And then the video came out, and that was available essentially to everybody in the public after there was a Freedom of Information request through the city attorneys and so on and so forth. And then ultimately the officer that was involved in that shooting was stripped of his police powers and ultimately charged with murder. So I spoke at some community functions previously last year and after the shooting that initially that the police believed the shooting was to be justified. Okay? But keep in mind, and I'm just going to tell you this, I saw the video one time a couple of days after the incident in a crowded room. There was no replay or breakdown in frame by frame. Okay? And what you have to keep in mind when we talk about police shootings is, again, no police officer goes out there with the intent on shooting anyone. Nobody wants to be involved in that because you face criminal charges and civil liability and things of that nature. Most of those times it's a split-second life or death decision. And I attended some training recently, the last couple of days, where there's a Force Science Institute, and they talk about police shootings not only nationwide but worldwide. And they give example after example after example of how police officers were shot and killed when they weren't able to react in time to knife attacks, gun attacks, blunt instruments, where the police let their guard down so often, where they're treating persons, again, like street stops that we suspect involved in criminal activity. They're approaching them in a mild-mannered, professional way, and then that incident turned bad in an instant, and the officer was shot and or killed. They didn't have time to even pull their gun from their holster. And a number of these, you know, you're not really going to see that on the news, but so many of these shooting incidents aren't caught on camera. In the last, you know, few decades, camera usage has gone up, and cell phones, so on and so forth. And did anybody see the incident in Boston last week? Can you see that one where the police officer was shot, driving down the street? Just driving down the street. And the guy comes running up, blasting away at him. The officer gets shot, and still after you're shot, as a human, okay? Because police officers are human beings just like you. They have emotions, fears, you know, caution, you know, self-preservation, just like you do. So after this officer gets shot, what does he do? Pardon me? He chased after the person who shot at him. Actually shot at him and shot him. There's actually a miracle he wasn't killed. The guy comes running up, fires away, blasts away numerous rounds. It's lucky he wasn't hit in the head and killed. But he still had the presence of mind to do his job, because that guy is a danger to everybody out there. He ambushed a police officer, shot the police officer with the intent to kill him, and the police officer, even after bleeding heavily, with no use of his one arm, still chased after the guy. We have instances like that here in Chicago too, but those you don't see on the news. And keep this in mind when we talk about police shootings and attacks. Police officers are one of the few professions outside of the military where somebody wants to hurt you and kill you just for what you're wearing. Okay? Keep that in mind. Police officers have been beat to death, stabbed to death, shot to death, run over by cars. A wide spectrum. So, as a law enforcement officer, you have to keep that in mind every day you go out, when you put that uniform out there, that there are individuals out there in this country and in this city that want to hurt you, kill you, just because of who you are. Bricklayers, accountants, car mechanics, janitors. You don't have to worry about that. When you go to work, you go and do your job. Secretaries. You don't have to worry about somebody coming in because you have a janitor's outfit on, or a fireman's outfit on, or a secretary's out, you know, dressed on, that someone's going to hurt you or kill you because of what you're wearing. So outside the military, the police officer is one of the few professions that face that on a daily basis. And still, these officers go out on a daily basis from one end of this country to the other and perform admirably. Okay? And they're going to do their job because good citizens out there count on them every day to do their job. So.
Think about this too. We're the one profession where if you make a mistake, we go to jail. You guys make a mistake at your job, what happens?
Right.
No one's got before to go to jail. You know, we make a split-second decision. We're the only profession where if we make a wrong decision, we're possible to spend the rest of our life in jail. We're doing what you think is possibly at that time the right thing to do.
And again, one last thing, talking about the McDonald case, because it's been talked about so often. I was approached by the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office not long after the incident. And I met with them down at their offices, and they had opened up an investigation into this. And at that time I was told, you can't speak to anyone about it. About our meeting, this investigation, nothing. Not even my bosses. So I was essentially told by the FBI and U.S. Attorney back then, talk to no one about this. So even facts that came out later on, we couldn't talk about it. Let's put it that way. So, and again, like the captain says, and we're not making excuses for any police officer that makes a mistake out there, but it's a split-second judgment. And it's in the officer's mindset at that time, life or death. I'm here to protect myself or my partner. And you have to keep that in mind. Throughout history, so many police officers have been shot, stabbed, beat, run over for giving the bad guy an extra second, or hesitating, or even thinking about it. Okay? So and that could present scenario after scenario to you. Okay? Where police officers did not act and they gave them the benefit of doubt and they ended up dead. Again, that's one of the inherent dangers on our job. That's why the Supreme Court over decades has tried to lean street stops and vehicle stops and things of that nature in a safety way for the police. Basically, the police have sort of the upper hand on the general citizens because they don't know who they're dealing with. You could have just stab your whole family, kill your whole family to death, and I stop you in a traffic stop for running a stop sign. I don't know what you did 15 minutes ago, but now this person, what are they thinking? This is the one person that stands between me and freedom. They know I stabbed or robbed somebody, did that something of nature, and then they take action. They want to hurt you, even kill you, stop you from arresting them. So we have to keep it in perspective sometimes. Okay. Any other questions?
I don't expect information, but it would be helpful in a future meeting report. Would it be possible to get into specifics of some of the recommendations that have been made? How many, in terms of how many tasers, in the Dade district, or in terms of officers that are trained to deal with mental health, just to be aware.
That's a big push. Just talking, if you couldn't hear or not, tasers and dealing with mental persons. The mayor announced that, I think, last week, the week before. By summertime, he wants to have over 700 brand new tasers in the city, in the police department, so that every single person that's in the field out there is taser qualified. I myself am taser qualified. Do I carry a taser? No, because I want the patrol officers to have it, because we have a limited supply, not enough for everyone. And a taser is just that. It's like a baton or mace or anything else. It's a tool. And depending on the threat level, that's when you pick the right tool to use to defeat that threat level. As far as dealing with persons with mental issues, there's a big push again on the police department to be trained in dealing with mental persons. But again, also keep in mind that just the training that we get, that doesn't make us psychiatrists or psychologists or professionals in dealing with persons with mental issues. But, yeah. All right, thank you again.